Al Pacino doesn't throw tantrums or flip tables. He becomes silent. And when Pacino silences you, he wounds. For decades, he has been the pulse of contemporary film. From Serpico through The Godfather, he supported whole generations of tales on his back. But behind the cameras, it wasn't all gold statues and curtain calls. He's left directors in the dust, fought with legends, and blacklisted co-stars silently, irretrievably. He does not burn bridges, he buries them. Dog Day Afternoon, Scent of a Woman, Heat. Pacino's performances are not only intense, they are explosive. But when the chemistry turns bad, that fire burns out. And, as opposed to some actors, Pacino does not send in PR cleanups. If you ended up on the list, you're not coming off it. He worked with De Niro, Nicholson, Brando, and Walken. But not all of them were left unscathed. Here are 6 actors and directors Pacino quietly blackballed, why they were dropped, and why it was for good. Stay with us, because the final name on this list is so raw that even the director won't speak about it. Number 1, William Friedkin. Al Pacino's initial major directing collaboration since the Godfather trilogy was with Friedkin on Cruising in 1980. A seedy descent into New York's underside. It started out as artistic synergy, but broke down into professional disdain. Friedkin, fresh from the French Connection, assumed Pacino would arrive rehearsed, disciplined, and ready. Pacino came in late, unrehearsed, improvising in ways that contradicted Friedkin's demanding approach. The director later called him unprepared and disrespectful to the material. Pacino, strong-willed and visceral by nature, resented Friedkin's rigid control. He refused direction, insisting he knew his character better than anyone. Reports say Friedkin grew so exasperated he nearly fired him multiple times. He later remarked, "Pacino was the biggest disappointment I've worked with." That line wasn't an anecdote, it was a verdict. The tension on the set was palpable. Arguments at midnight, hours of silence, an environment in which respect cracked irreparably. Pacino never went back into Friedkin's arms, and Friedkin never made overtures. Nowadays, critics recall Cruising for its cult influence, not the breakdown that jeopardized any subsequent collaboration. Pacino went on to directors who offered him latitude, and Friedkin went on without him. In Hollywood, collaboration is blood. But when egos clash, a partnership can perish overnight. Number 2, James Foley. When Glengarry Glen Ross opened, Pacino's performance was widely praised as being raw, brittle, and bristling with energy. But off-camera, his partnership with Foley was anything but smooth. Foley, the man notorious for precision and discipline, soon found himself intimidated by Pacino's volatility. Pacino would change tone in the middle of a take, abandon scripted lines, and fight against repeating scenes exactly the same way twice. Foley would later call it draining, a back-and-forth pull between control and anarchy. One crew member remembered, Foley needed tension. Pacino craved fire. That balance came close to shattering the set. The on-screen result was undeniable, but neither man wanted it again. Pacino, who tends to work with directors he admires, never collaborated with Foley again. Foley, meanwhile, remained diplomatic, but when questioned in an interview whether he would work with Pacino again, he merely smiled tightly. There was no public spat, but the silence was deafening. For Pacino, when the beat's not right, he doesn't struggle to rectify it. He just walks away. Number 3, Marlon Brando. When Pacino secured the role of Michael Corleone in The Godfather, his life was altered. It also put him in close proximity with Marlon Brando, a man he admired but also secretly envied. In front of the camera, their chemistry was legendary. Behind the camera, things were complicated. Brando was a legend before he even arrived on set, and when he was late for rehearsals, improvised dialogue, or argued with Francis Ford Coppola, the studio turned a blind eye. Pacino, who was still an unknown, was not treated as leniently. The double standard hurt. The tension mounted during award season when Brando took home the Best Actor Oscar, while Pacino, having done much of the heavy lifting in the film, was only nominated for supporting actor. Feeling snubbed, Pacino boycotted the whole ceremony. Afterwards, he confessed, "I didn't think it was right. I was in that movie more than he was." It wasn't a grievance. Bitterness was the fissure in a thin respect. Pacino and Brando separated over time. They never collaborated on screen again. Pacino rarely complimented him except with gracious admiration, maintaining Brando as much as an enigma as an inspiration. It wasn't outright hatred, but disappointment infused with pride and jealousy. In Hollywood, better is sometimes said in silence than in scandal. Pacino might have acted alongside Brando, but he made sure he never wanted to tread the same path. Number 4. Robert De Niro. Al Pacino and Robert De Niro are spoken of in the same breath as cinematic legends, two actors who shaped American cinema over decades. They've co-billed in The Godfather Part 2, Heat, Righteous Kill, and The Irishman. But even with all the on-screen time, their real relationship has been complicated. When Heat was shooting in the mid-1990s, everybody anticipated fireworks. It was their first real face-to-face scene together. But off-screen, they avoided one another. Insiders report they barely exchanged words off-camera. De Niro liked preparation and taciturnity. Pacino demanded intensity, improvisation, and liberty. Director Michael Mann had to adjust his directing style for both of them, handling them as two distinct storms converging to the same destination. Pacino used to say, "Bob's a craftsman. I'm more instinct. We work differently." It wasn't a slight, but neither was it affectionate praise. The gap was revealed once more decades on in The Irishman. Both gave nuanced, thoughtful performances, but sources familiar with the set spoke of a working but chilly dynamic. No teasing in between shots, no off-set camaraderie. Scorsese allegedly acted as a buffer. Their interviews together come across as stilted, Pacino addressing De Niro as a colleague, and De Niro's compliments to Pacino being general. In Hollywood, you can quarrel in the open or keep it hidden under professionalism. With these two, the latter. No fireworks, only silence where a friendship could have grown. When Pacino once confessed, "We're not friends. We just show up," it wasn't bitterness. It was the subtle truth behind a fabled tandem that never really meshed. Number 5. Michelle Pfeiffer. At the time when Scarface was casting during the early 1980s, Michelle Pfeiffer was not the hot pick. She was not well known yet, with only small parts to her credit. Pacino was already a giant, and from several accounts, he was not hesitant about expressing his doubts. He was not initially inclined toward Pfeiffer playing Elvira Hancock. He supposedly informed producers she was too gentle for the part, and she didn't have the bite required to play Tony Montana's cold, aloof girlfriend. Pfeiffer testified during auditions that she could sense his disdain. "I knew he did not want me there," she said years later. "I had to demonstrate I belonged in the room." And she did. Her audition was so keen and powerful that director Brian De Palma overrode Pacino's misgivings. Yet tension remained on the set. Pacino kept his distance at arm's length during the filming. There were no stretches, no mentoring, only cold professionalism. Even after Scarface developed a cult following, Pacino hardly ever spoke of Pfeiffer in interviews. Though she always had her respect for him, she never refuted the tension in their working relationship. Ironically, it was Pfeiffer's work that introduced an unexpected sensitivity to the movie. Her Elvira was tart, cynical, and sorrowful, just what the part called for. But Pacino's reluctance left its impression. They never collaborated again. There are plenty of what-ifs in Hollywood, but this one takes the cake. A great film with two classic performances, and a collaboration that was over before it started. Because when Pacino draws a line, he doesn't usually cross it. Number 6. Gene Hackman. Al Pacino and Gene Hackman collaborated only once, but that one effort, *Scarecrow*, 1973, was enough to create years of tacit distance. The movie itself was a success at the time, heralded for its spare, human performances. But behind the scenes, the affair was anything but smooth. Pacino was newly ascendant, sensitive, method-oriented, and introspective to a fault. Hackman, just arrived from the French Connection, was already a star, blunt, gruff, and practical. Their personalities clashed almost from the get-go. Pacino once alluded to tension, remarking in a subsequent interview, "Working with Gene, it wasn't the easiest. We had different ideas." On location, Hackman allegedly became impatient with Pacino's pace and probing. One crew member summed it up succinctly: he doesn't like wasting time. And to him, Al was wasting time. Hackman would challenge scenes, overrule direction, and maintain an upbeat energy, while Pacino dug deeper in search of emotion. The two repelled one another. The tension never rose to shouting matches and scandals, but it existed. After Scarecrow, they never collaborated again. No reunion, no public acclaim, no good-natured anecdotes. Even though their careers towered above everybody else's, their ways never crossed professionally again. In Hollywood, where second chances and reunions are the stuff of legends, that silence is telling. Al Pacino's reputation is founded on intensity, but on instinct, particularly with people. He doesn't air his ruptures publicly, doesn't drag names through interviews or tabloids. He just closes the door, walks off the set, and never looks back. In a business where feuds become showbiz, Pacino's silence is the final cut. You don't hear the fight. You just realize who doesn't show up again.